Hello, sports fans. Dr. Palermo here with a Week 13 instructional message for you. 706, Anna, Shawnee, Danya, Chris, Roz, Kev. We meet again for our final face-to-face class in Fayetteville this weekend, though Chris gets a pass. Congratulations in advance. I hope the wedding all goes well. For the rest of us, the big rocks this week, no new readings or discussion boards to complete, lots of writing to complete. And I want you to please come to Fayetteville this weekend with hard copies or electronic drafts of everything that you're working on. If some of these are works in progress, I hope that I can give you feedback and peer review feedback on your PEs so that you can complete these things in the next couple of weeks and get her done. But bring whatever you have, please. We're going to workshop some of this stuff so that if you're still working on your PE, bring it along, please. If you're still working on drafts of your FCEP or the PLCP, bring them along. We will, again, workshop some of that stuff, and I hope to give you the feedback that you need to get them done. PE, do not submit a formative PE, please, prior to the weekend. I want to go over, I want to talk a little bit about the findings and analysis here. Go to the rubric, please. You'll see that in most cases on this PE, proficient is what you're going for. Oftentimes in the accomplished section, it has the same rubric description and says specifics, or detailed specifics, or in great detail. If you have this stuff, you're going to be proficient. If you have a lot of it in great detail, you're going to be accomplished. But let's shoot for proficient here, please. The evaluation plan and procedures are clearly detailed. Make sure that in this finding section that you go back and talk about the methods that you use to collect and analyze the data on your program. What did you say in your logic model? What were the research questions you were trying to answer? Here is where you're answering them. And so make sure that the data that you present answers that. Was it survey data? Was it, is it student grades? Is it student attendance at this tutorial? How were you evaluating the questions that you wanted to answer about your program? And how are you presenting this data for us? A table is a good idea, and they tell you just what columns you should have in your table. The evaluation question, the instruments used to evaluate that question, the data that you collected, the data analysis procedure. So outline all of that stuff and then show it to us, please. Show us the instruments. Show us the data you collected. Present the data in charts and graphs. So once you have the data presented, then analyze it. And I hope that you've gotten a group together or can show that you collaborated in this data analysis, and analyze the data. So the results of the data analysis are clearly presented in some way. If you said you were going to collect attendance data and you present the chart of the attendance data, now analyze it and tell us, was the attendance what you expected? Was it not? Was it more? Analyze, please. And then the implications and findings of that data and the recommendations that you would make as a result. So 3 separate sections. Each time that I'm emphasizing something here, it probably ought to be a separate section in this portion with a different heading. Make sure that you've got methods, and make sure that you've got a table in there, and make sure that you have specifics and results, and that they are clearly presented along with implications and recommendations. So these data, results, implications should be separate sections and headings. We haven't talked much about limitations and delimitations. A research study, any type of action research in education is going to be limited in some way. It might be limited because of the things that you cannot control, and those are called limitations. If attendance was one of the things that you were trying to measure with your students, but you're holding your program after school and there's no bus transportation provided, then that's a limitation that is not under your control. You want kids to stay after school and come to tutorial, but there's no bus transportation provided. That's a limitation to your program being effective. A delimitation would be a choice that you made. For instance, if again you're looking at a tutorial program and you decided to have a cutoff at level 3, that you're not going to include level 2 or level 1 kids in your tutorial program, you're only working on trying to move level 3 kids up, that's a delimitation that you chose. Instead of having all kids who might have been 50, 60, 100, you chose to try to focus just on those level 3 kids, 20 of them. That's a delimitation that you chose, or the research, the researcher chose. Describe that. So the last section here of your findings should be limitations and delimitations. And one of the reasons that you're doing this here is to understand that a thoroughly vetted program evaluation should have few limitations and should have few delimitations. But that's not reality. So what choices did you make? What limitations were put on you by the school or the district? Make sure you address that stuff. So anyway, you may have questions about limitations and delimitations. Bring them this weekend. We're going to work on this stuff in our face-to-face class on the 22nd. And though you're supposed to present your summary and précis of the PE, if you don't quite have that on Saturday, bring what you have, please. We'll workshop it, and I hope by Sunday you will have something that you can present to the rest of us. A PowerPoint, a 2-page précis, a summary of your PE. Bring drafts and bring whatever you've got, please. I'll give you a clearer idea of what I hope you can produce by the end of the day, Saturday, and maybe we can have it on Sunday. A couple of other things that I do want to work on this weekend are related to Hall and Horde and implementing change. There are really good, solid tips for organizational development in Hall and Horde. Maybe you're at the place in your school where simply having better meetings and organizing the work a little bit better might help you improve and reach your goals. That's the kind of stuff that I want to talk about with Chapter 11 from Hall and Horde. The individual skills for increasing group or team effectiveness is something we'll do as an in-class goal setting. The analyzing agendas and making recommendations to leaders about how to improve facilitating effective meetings is something that I hope we can do too. And for that, please bring you had a couple of discussion boards back in week 10 and 11 identifying a meeting, and you were supposed to analyze that using a sociogram. If that was a faculty meeting, bring an agenda from a faculty meeting, please. I hope that there are printed written agendas for some meetings at your school. Bring one agenda, multiple copies, please, so that we can pass those out and share with one another. I want to see what agendas look like at your place. When you have your formative copies of the PLC, FCEP, PE ready for me to see, upload them into Blackboard. After you get feedback from me and are able to push those over into TaskStream for others to look at, please do that. Again, if you are in doubt about any of your evidences, I can provide formative feedback this weekend. Bring them to Fayetteville and we'll talk through some of this stuff. Bring Hall and Horde, bring your agendas. Please try not to stress about submitting papers. I get it. Keep writing every day. Bring all of your work this weekend. I'll give you feedback and including some feedback on your presentations if you want. I hope to see many of you there in Fayetteville this weekend. Chris, have a terrific wedding, and we'll talk later. Thank you, folks.